We don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 6 Rings Canes post-game show. Miami beats Virginia 29-26 in overtime to get bowl eligible. Melissa's pointing at the sign. You want to read it?
Survived. Honestly, I for most of that game, except for maybe right after the Cam Kinchins pick 6, I for sure thought we were going to be doing a post-game talking about a loss. We were outplayed pretty much every single quarter except for the overtime period. I'm honestly shocked that we won that. Kudos to our defense. Kudos to our running backs, the O-line. Andy Borregales made 3 40+ yard field goals.
Yeah, 2 47s and a 50.
And it wasn't like they were even close field goals. Like he nailed them right down the middle. AJ Allen was running the ball hard in regulation. I think he got hurt, which is why we didn't see him towards the end of the game.
He got hurt when he jumped over the guy. He pulled something and he was done.
Yeah. And then Fletcher, I mean, I made a joke on Twitter about us taking a knee at the end of regulation. That wasn't me questioning the call. That was just me just pointing out irony given our past.
Yep,
but I agree with that call because we would have had to put the ball in the air there, and the quarterback play was subpar.
Yeah, there was
today,
no way you could do that. Just run through the chat a little bit. Shout out to Pimp Down, Danbury, Fishman, Miami.
Fishman.
Lot of our old friends.
1 a.m.
Martin
in
from
Africa, and your boys are trying to kill me. Yes, I've seen Martin in a few different chats, and that is, I think he lives in Botswana, if I'm not mistaken. If I remember correctly.
He does. Martin jumped into our Clemson postgame Sunday morning show last week, which I think aligned up a little bit better for his time zone issues than man, these night, if it's 1 a.m. where he is now, these afternoon and night games are killing him. He's the one who needs the noon kickoff, 8 p.m. next week. Sorry, Martin. Yeah. But thanks for hopping in. Yeah, we're very familiar.
My friends in my group text were gonna blame me if we lost because they think that me showing up to games makes a difference, and I was like, "Well, I'm 3-2 this year with games that I've gone to."
We've been over this when people. I mean, I used to be superstitious too. Like, I gotta wear. We've lost in every piece of clothing I own. We've lost in every seat I've sat in. We've lost when I'm there. We've lost when I'm not there. It's been 20 years, man. It's nothing we're gonna do is gonna do some kind of voodoo karma here. But hey, I'll tell you one thing. As ugly, and we're gonna obviously deep dive into a lot of points Melissa just made, but. The one thing we said after Georgia Tech, even though it went bad, at the end was, let's see if this team fights. And they did come out and fight North Carolina. They imploded in the third quarter and actually fought back in the fourth. They fought last week down 10. This team doesn't quit. And that showed up again today. Should they be in a tight game with Virginia in the fourth quarter? No. but this team keeps fighting, and ultimately that's why they won the game. And that's a big
I just
difference
wanna-
from last year.
Before we talk about the whole game, I just want to the body control that Fletcher had to stay in bounds. Like he ran into Javion Cohen and then he like turned around.
Amazing,
like,
amazing run.
I was showing the replay and I was like, please make sure, please. I hope your foot is in bounds. Please.
Well, I mean, not just inbounds. You need a good foot because otherwise ACC reffing can happen. So,
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Javion Cohen for giving him the last push into the end zone. Big man.
There was a little tush push there.
Oh yeah,
there was
the big man got involved there and gave him the shove that pushed him over.
Definitely got involved.
They stood him up, and Javion's the one who gave him the last push into the end zone.
I was in so many threads during this game. I was arguing with people on Twitter. I was in the Coop live stream. I had my usual group text, and then I was in the Flow Discord. And I don't even know where I was.
This is why I've actually like pretty much started like kind of staying off my phone during games. And I will tell you the experience is much better. Now Jazz is texting me and other people are texting me. Actually I gotta ask Jazz, did he make it to the end this time? Did he stay for overtime?
I had somebody block me after getting into my mentions and arguing with me in my mentions. And then when I apparently made a good point, they blocked me.
I mean, again, this is why I just don't. I mean, I tweeted a few things during the game at like timeouts. I don't engage in stuff like that just because everyone's fired up, everyone's emotional. Yeah. Now you can find
that's how me and your boy Gary got into it.
I know, but
we're cool now. Gary, if you're watching, me and Gary have DM'd, we chit chat.
No, I know. Like I know, but that's my point. Like in the heat of these things, we do stupid stuff. But
I think we need to address the elephant in the chat.
Well, let's do that. So obviously TVD was trying to think. Yeah, he was definitely the worst player on the field today. So and the first pick was, I know everyone's like he forced it to X was wide open. That's a walk-in touch. That's a terrible
and that's what I was saying because people were showing me pictures of other people like the dump off was open and Bashar was open. I'm like, if TVD throws if he throws a good ball, X is in the end zone for a touchdown.
You're gonna throw the touchdown.
His defender beat. He was open. That was a touchdown.
Was one of the worst.
TVD just threw a horrendous ball. It was just a terrible throw.
To the point that on the broadcast, shout to Jorge Cezano and Orlando Franklin, two of Miami's own, calling the game. I think Orlando was getting a little frustrated in the third quarter. He started saying, "You got to make that tackle." It was like you could tell he was like losing his mind watching this team play the game. But to your point, Melissa, he's behind the defense. It's a walk-in touchdown. That's where you throw the ball. This was not.
And honestly, at the beginning of the season, TVD makes that throw.
I don't honestly.
Me and you have been on a lot of games. We talk about football all the time. I have been one of the bigger TVD advocates since the beginning of the season. And by halftime in the third quarter, I even tweeted out, I'm like, I can't make excuses anymore. What is going on? Like TVD's shown that he's a great QB, and then he has these times where
we never had issues with kind of. I mean, definitely he misreads defenses at times. That's his issue. He forces it into coverage. Never had an issue. I don't know if you know Toxic Fart.
Toxic is my boy. Toxic is my boy from Coop's channel. One of my favorite Canes fans to chat it up with in other streams. So and it's just fun to say his name. His name is Toxic Fart. It's just spelled differently.
Yeah, no, I read it out that way phonetically. It's like hopefully I'm saying.
I super chatted. Check out Six Ring Canes for post game on Coop stream before I left it to come on here. So
investing in the brand.
I'm hoping that was a $5 super chat. So I'm hoping we get some Coop trades after
$5 worth out of it. We should read the prize picks ad then before we leave to make sure we get the $5 back. But it's not going to get us $5, but it'll get us part of the way there. Maybe
I didn't even have time to pour the apple juice. I just grabbed the water bottle out of my fridge.
I told you to take your time. I literally said take your time. Don't rush. You had time to get the apple juice.
It's okay. I was drinking a Chick-fil-A soda and I'm dehydrated, so I'm like, I need some water. That's why he's here. See?
Yeah.
Toxic. You gotta check out Six Ring Canes on Monday nights. They do their football show, I guess, occasionally, but they're good peeps. So definitely be checking out.
It's Blue is there. I mean, you don't have to say
Blue. I mean, yeah. I mean, if there's anybody you want to check out, it's on Six Ring Canes on Monday nights. It's Blue, but DJ, Vish, and Jazz are also good peeps. So
and watch our basketball show buckets.
Yeah, Vish is my basketball boy. So
yeah. But anyway, like that first interception he threw, I mean, that's not even a misread. The guy's open. It's
No,
one of the worst.
and-
It's one of the worst physical throws, like just physically.
And
I've seen him make.
I
It's
was
probably the worst
arguing
throw of
with
his career.
people on because everyone was like, "Oh, it was a terrible read." I'm like, "No, it was a great decision. It was a touchdown, but it was a terrible throw."
Yeah, and
Like-
I wonder if some of those people are at the game too, and you don't get all the replays because he was 5 yards behind the defense when TVD released it, and then
It was
by the time
a great throw.
it was underthrown so much that he had to X had to try
Yeah.
to get back to the ball.
Mhm.
And then it looked closer. I mean, he was wide open. There's no way. In fact, if he throws to someone else, it's a bad read because you throw the touchdown. Yeah, he could have checked it off to Fletcher for 15, but like, you
Yeah,
throw the
but
touchdown.
that's a touchdown throw.
Yeah, but
and
he just
also
misexecuted
toxic.
it.
We can complain about the refs. Did Virginia even have a penalty?
No, but we had 2 for
No.
20, and they were both good
Yeah,
calls. So
But
I
they
don't-
missed an obvious face mask.
That was
and
the
then there was
only
a pass
one.
interference.
Yeah,
There was a
but
pass
you know what? They were
interference that
letting
they missed.
everything go. Like we held.
Yeah.
Like, you go watch the replay of McCormick on the winning touchdown. He just yanked 7 down from behind. I thought the flag was coming out for sure.
The
But
face
officials-
mask. They missed the
the
face
face
mask.
mask was
They
atrocious.
let a lot go.
Yeah, and where's Jorge on that one? Because he was like, that was a risky throw. I'm like, yeah, he couldn't step into it because the dude was pulling his face mask. He was just
Yeah.
checking it down to Parrish.
And Martin Ruben Bain is a beast, bro.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say that
I was getting a little frustrated with some of the short yardage runs we were giving up. I was like, "Yo, where's the muscle on our D line?"
The tackling wasn't. I mean, we should let's finish the TVD conversation. We'll talk about the rest of the team. So that first interception was to me a physical error. The second one he forced into double coverage, and the third should have been one. He also forced into double coverage where the dude dropped it on the goal line.
My mentions are blowing up my phone.
I mean, I've got mine muted. I don't look at that stuff during live shows because being
Yeah, I
professional.
know.
here.
It's just I see it like in my
I
back.
know,
I'm
that's
just like,
why
I didn't read them. I didn't read them.
That's why I leave all that. I literally mute all that stuff just so I don't have to see it. With that said, like, I do think the key there were points in this game where let's just take it from the beginning. So we know TVD was ass, and that's kind of if he played even halfway decent, it doesn't go to
Bye,
overtime.
Martin.
Yeah. Also, you can subscribe to the podcast feed and then just listen to it whenever you want.
Unless you love to see our beautiful faces.
I mean, you're here, so maybe some people will get the visual out of it. Normally, it's just 3 dudes.
I literally just threw a hoodie on over pajamas. There's nothing looking good about this right now. It is a Miami hoodie though.
Of course, it's a Miami hoodie. What other hoodie you're gonna put on for the post game? I will say, like, as bad as the QB play was, and it was terrible, and I think if he plays even just a half-ass game, it's probably not going to overtime. With that said, like, I got all sorts of the team came out flat again, didn't show up in the first quarter. Virginia's first drive was just easy. It was stealing. We didn't tackle well. And just like they had 3rd and 13 check down into the flat. We missed like 3 tackles and they got a first down that drive and then just ran into the end zone easily. No resistance. It took us a few possessions.
But then the defense gave us the lead.
Right.
In that
I'm
third
just talking
quarter.
about. I'm talking about the first.
Yeah,
half.
I know. I'm just
we
saying.
Were so
the first
flat.
half was terrible.
Right, but so what ends up happening though? No, the defense was overall obviously better than the offense. But I guess my problem is, as a team, we came out flat again. Like this time we got away with it against Georgia Tech. We did, and then we can talk about the calls and all. The bottom line is, you come out and you waste a half. Now you're in shit. Like we wasted that first half. Like if we lost that game, we'd been like, what the hell did we do in the first half? We didn't do anything. We made 1 bomb of a field goal. That was it. Like and the defense let them repeatedly, like you said, Melissa, give up 3rd down after 3rd down after 3rd down, mostly by not tackling. Like the first guy rarely got into the overtime. It's like we flipped the switch in overtime. We started tackling and started blocking. Jazz was at the game and having a few.
Jazz was at the game. Whether he stayed for the whole game is a whole nother question. I mean, I shouldn't talk. I have season tickets. I didn't go to the game today, but honestly, that's just because I've been on vacation the last 2 weeks and I'm just dead tired.
Plus, I mean, if I were there, you would have gone. But
and I had no one to go with because my friends didn't want to go to the game, and Vish isn't in Miami. So
I will be at NC State next week, and I was thinking about that in the fourth quarter. Like, seriously, I'm gonna get on a plane after this, but now I'm feeling
honestly, bagging up 4 says we were too predictable on top of TVD not taking what the coverage gives you. We honestly we had to run it towards the end because you can't trust TVD to pass.
Well, I will say
we took a knee at the end of the fourth quarter. I mean, people can hate it all they want when there's 30 seconds left and 3 timeouts, but you can't. I mean, I made a joke of it, but honestly, it's the right call because you're going to have to air it out to get us into field goal range, and you couldn't have confidence in our passing game to do that.
I will say definitely at the end of the game, I think that was the right decision just to sit on the ball. We were debating. I was watching the game with my brother. Like, should we hand it off or should we take a knee? Either way, you're probably just going. But either way, you're probably just going into overtime.
Yeah.
Right? So then
but you don't risk anything there because that's like if they get a fumble, that's a field goal.
Let's be real. Like, if TVD was playing better, you absolutely say you got 26 seconds. We had 2 timeouts, by the way. And TVD said 3. They did not. It was 2. Yeah. But if you're sitting there at 26 seconds with TVD playing well, sure. Let's let him throw the ball down the field, see if we can get to field. Because man, the way Borgas was bombing those, you cross midfield, he might be able to make it. So but there's no way you could air it out that way.
Yeah, toxic fart to address is Dawson predictable? I don't think Dawson's predictable. The quarterback play, the passing isn't. I will
say where the play calling. I do think there was
besides running up the middle on first down.
I do think there was some predictability, and I do think there was some failure to adjust to the defense. Like, yeah, TVD was terrible, no doubt about it. Those picks he were throwing were largely, the first one was like a missed execution. It was wide open. The other ones were him sitting in the pocket forever, no one coming open in situations where, hey, they're rushing 3 or 4 guys, run the ball. And I also thought the point you made, Melissa, on running on every first down, pretty much that one drive, I think it's the one where X got interfered with on 3rd down. They didn't call it. That one, we actually started that drive by throwing on first down a couple of times, easy pitch and cat in the flat 5-6 yards. Like, that mixed up the sequence and we moved the ball a little bit. I thought it did get a little predictable there. In terms of just, we're going to run on first down and then try to throw from there. And I think we trusted TVD too much to be able to convert. One of the ways you get away with that is your quarterback can convert 3rd and medium, 3rd and long. He just didn't have it today. That wasn't happening. And so there was just a lot of missed opportunities. And by the way, kudos to this team for fighting through all this. Like, generally speaking, that last drive Virginia has where
they go up 3.
Well, they converted that 4th down. Like, that was it was a tie when it was a tie game, and they went for it from their own 40 and they convert it and a big play, and you're like, that's ball game. That's where you lose it.
Yeah.
The team came back and won the game after that, which is, again, for all of, frankly, we're a low IQ team right now. Like, I don't know what Harrell's doing on that kickoff. That cost us 30 yards. I mean, that is why we spent a lot of that quarter chasing.
But he was in there because Ray got hurt.
Right. But
yeah, that was terrible.
I mean, that cost us 20 yards, and that's why we actually spent that quarter. We drove a little bit and then punted and exchanged a few punts to get the field position back because of that. Like, you can't do things like that. And so, John S. I would agree that's where the betting money was. That's not where I was, and I repeatedly I've said this on like 4 different shows because I'm on way too many of these things at this point. But UVA plays a bunch of close games, and if you don't kill them early, it's going to be tight at the end. This is now they're 2-6. They've lost 1 game by 1 point. This is the 3rd game they've lost by 3 points, and this time in overtime. Like, if you didn't come out early and take it to them, it was always this team is good at grinding. They stick around if you don't kill them early, and we just left them in the game. And then, after the Kinchins pick 6, we survived.
Why this says we survived.
I'm John. I'm not defending the performance. It was ass. Like I said earlier, we wasted the entire first half just not showing up, which is why it was close at the end. Like, if you play in the first half, if you take like a 10-point lead into the half, you're probably going to walk away with an easy win. Instead, we're down. And after the Kitchens interception, that's where you got to capitalize and step on their throat, and the defense let them march right down the field. And it's just, the defense
was gassed.
The defense
They were
was
gassed.
gassed. They were gassed, but you've got to get off the field.
Yeah,
You
no,
cannot
for
let
sure.
them
I'm not.
score.
That's not me making an. Well, I guess it is sort of kind of me making an excuse, but
No,
they
I
were
get it.
gassed. They were on the field a lot.
I get it, but I guess my point is there were points in this game, and then right after that, right? Because then we got a field goal. That was the one Ray got hurt on, but he ran it out to the 40. We couldn't even get a first down, and TVD threw the interception. That whole sequence, that's where you kill the game off. We didn't do it, and next you know we're losing again. Yeah, no, absolutely, and we've done that once already.
Keep bad teams close,
and
you end up in a rock
we've done that
losing,
once.
Yeah.
We almost did it again today. We got away with it this time.
We let Georgia Tech stay close, and we ended up losing. Last week, I mean, Clemson lost to NC State today.
Well, we got to play NC State next week.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we were starting the true freshman quarterback, and like same thing today. On paper, we're a much better team than Virginia. But it's really a shame. We have a really good offensive line.
Honestly,
has a lot of time to throw. I don't know what he's seeing or the reads or the routes the right receivers are running, but he's had plenty of time to throw back there. So I don't know what the factors are with some of these really bad passes.
I don't know what happened today.
Is this affecting him?
I don't think so. I think the only time that it looked like, if you told me like his hand was broken, was on the exit interception.
That first interception.
Yeah, and I was like, that is like the worst
throw
I've ever seen a D1 quarterback make. Like, how do you underthrow something by 15 yards? But other than that, no, he's stepping into him. He's throwing it where the ball's going where he wants it to go. It's just he's not seeing the underneath coverage. He's forcing things. I think he's trusting his arm a little too much. And he's overthinking things. And when you overthink as a quarterback, that's bad. Like when the ball actually, if you notice, when the ball comes out in rhythm, it's fine. It's when he's got to go through his progressions. He doesn't get to the check down quick enough. He doesn't come off of players quick enough. And then he throws it late and forces it. And that turns into interceptions. I will say, though, the sad thing is, our best efforts over like Clemson, we definitely played hard that whole game. But North Carolina was a better effort just in terms of trying to win than we did against Georgia Tech or Virginia. And if we brought that energy in all of those games, these games aren't as close. Like Georgia Tech, you win, and Virginia, you win without like these late game heroics one way or the other. And I don't understand how after you blow the Georgia Tech game, you lose to kind of coming out high off of last week, how you just come out flat like this. Like that whole beginning of the game, like the first drive, actually TVD threw probably one of the best drives he threw all game. We floated the ball over the underneath coverage and dropped it into Jacoby, who promptly dropped the ball on third down, or we would have been moving. And then the defense just got pushed around, and it's 7-0. I'm like, well, here we go again, right?
But at the end of the day, the defense kept us in it.
The defense
had a pick six.
The defense kept us in it.
That overtime period, where we held them to a field goal, I was like, we have to get a touchdown here.
Yeah,
we can't let this keep going. Like, if I see one pass during this overtime, I'm going to 100%. I was like, we better be running the ball the whole freaking time.
That's also the luxury the defense holding to a field goal gives you. You're already in field goal range just to start the drive. So you can lean on the running game.
You can run the ball.
Yeah. Whereas if you need a touchdown and you get to like 2nd and 8, you kind of got to start throwing it. We never got to 2nd and 8 because all of a sudden in the overtime that was the only time. And every game this year, even against North Carolina, certainly against Clemson, I felt we were the more physical team. Not in this game. Only in overtime. Okay, Kipchins makes a great tackle. James Williams makes a great tackle. Put them down right where they caught the ball. Which is why they didn't get the first, by the way. It was 2 great tackles in the open.
Yeah, we had some poor tackling.
That was the only time we really stepped up and tackled. And then the overtime is the only time the offensive line just on every play got push and got running lanes. And I mean, this is a team built around physicality. And for the whole regulation of the game, Virginia was more physical and pushed us around. And that's why. Yeah, the defense kept us in the game, but Virginia was holding the ball and going these long drives because you called us out earlier. 3rd and 2, you hit the guy in the backfield, he stretches for the first down. There's another 3 plays, even if they end up punting.
People were like, "Oh, we have this many sacks. The D-line's playing great." I'm like, "Why are we getting out muscled on these short yardage 3rd down though?" Like, I obviously, like we have some great guys rushing the passer, but I mean, we gave up these 3rd and shorts. We gave up that 4th and 1. I mean, it's nothing against the D-line, but do the linebackers need to be coming up to help, so they don't get these short yardage situations? And like, honestly, in the chat, I don't get the Mario hate on this game.
I will
don't
say,
think this has anything to do with his game management.
Well, I think the game management was fine at the end. I think the head coach is responsible for the energy coming into the game.
Yeah, but
And I will say, I will say,
anyone who's gonna hate on him taking a knee at the end of the fourth quarter, I don't get it. I can understand frustrations, because there was time and timeouts, but like the way TVD was playing,
right.
I don't blame them at all for taking it.
You can't simultaneously say TVD was ass and we can't trust him to throw the ball, and then also we should have done something else other than like the other option was to hand it off and hope you pop one, which
then you risk fumbling.
Yeah, it's just a better chance something goes wrong than something goes right in that situation.
Yeah, when you're that deep, that if that would have happened, they're in field goal range.
And that's why
if we're at midfield, maybe you run the ball and see if you could break one. But when you're on the 20,
you might even throw it then.
Yeah,
even if it's
maybe.
A
But when you're on the 20, when you're backed up, a knee was the best thing.
But I will, to John's point, I will say, the team not being mentally ready to play, that is the coach. Like, what else? Like, and we did this against Georgia Tech, and they should have seen it coming. And whatever the hell we did to prep, like, and again, it was it in the second quarter? We called an option and tried to flip the ball to Fletcher, and he fumbled and he picked it back up, but we didn't convert a short yardage. Like, that's the same stuff we were doing against Georgia Tech. Stop effing around out here. Like, I don't get it.
That's not Mario. That's Dawson.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's the attitude, though. He would never do that against Clemson or North Carolina, but he's fine doing it here. I still think there's like this attitude of like, I don't know that the coaches necessarily, I wouldn't say take the team seriously, because I'm sure they do, but recognize the threat that you can lose this game. Like, you don't call that play if you think it's the second quarter, we're down, but you're fine, you're in the game. You don't call like, let me try this little flip pitch to Fletcher who hasn't played in like 3 weeks and see if he can catch it. Like,
John, I'm not giving Mario a pass. I'm just saying, as far as game management, I don't think there was anything crucial mistake as far as Mario not taking a timeout or something like that.
I don't think there's anything. I don't think that I would have screamed if he had tried to throw it with TVD. So again, if you're saying he could have handed it off, okay, I guess. But I mean, that's, to me, like, there's no way you could trust the quarterback to throw the ball at that point, and that's the only way you're realistically going to get into field goal range.
And honestly, John said if we lose tonight, we are crushing Mario for not trying. Honestly, I think TVD is going to get a lot.
Yeah, no one would even be mentioning Mario,
regardless. Even with the win, I think he's gonna get a lot of hate or whatever you want to call it.
And I would say just justifiably this time. I've been saying he's been unfairly criticized for a lot of what people are complaining about. Criticizing him when he throws for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns seems a bit much. He was terrible today. Like, I mean, he was terrible, and he didn't appear to have any handle on where he should go with the football, and he made physical errors too, which is, rare for him. He did have
none of those interceptions were like in Virginia's red zone. Like, they were long passes that didn't necessarily set Virginia up for really, really, really good field position. But still, it's something quick where now the defense has got to get back on the field. They were just,
the second one was huge, actually, because that was when Ray returned the kick to the 40.
Yeah. So
even it was third down, no one was open. He should have just thrown it away. Like, the play didn't work.
Punt, and it would have flipped the field position.
Yeah. And instead they returned the punt. They returned the interception back across midfield, and they went in for the touchdown to take the lead.
Yeah.
And that was one that killed us.
That was probably the most crucial.
Well, that was the other thing. There's a lot of things that conspired to get this into the point where we were in overtime. We came out flat. We got pushed around a lot. We let them convert a lot of third downs by getting like 1 yard past the sticks because we didn't tackle. We lost field position twice. One was the TVD interception that I just talked about. The other one was the kickoff where Harold screwed it up. Like, all of that's dead yardage you have to get back. And all of that played into it. And frankly, we got away with it because Borregales was a beast and bombed 3 long field goals that basically no college kicker makes 47, 47, and 50. And he hit him right down the middle and could have made him from another 10 yards back. And that's why we won the game.
I said that before. They were right down the middle. It wasn't even like a question of if that was going in.
And that's why.
Honestly, the third one that we took to tie it, I didn't even watch. I literally like closed my eyes and was just like...
And I think that is what allowed us to win this game, is that while making all these mistakes, we were able to just get to their 30, between their 30 and their 35, and get 3 points out of it 3 times.
John, I do agree with you.
I don't know, and this is why I'll say I don't know. The reason I'll say that is we've seen him play a lot better than this. I will say if we John was actually the one who brought this conversation up in the pregame. If the coach, is TVD going to be back or not? If he's back and you can go in the portal, toxic fart's got all the jokes. If we go into the portal and get someone better, there's definitely, you can upgrade it, but I do think this is the worst game he's ever played.
I think we have a QB problem, because if you look at our schedule coming up, we play a lot better teams. You can't have an inconsistent QB who can't make the proper reads. It is a problem, and TVD has played well at the beginning of the season, and he has that potential to throw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards. But if he plays like this, we're not winning. We're not winning these games. We will get destroyed by these teams coming up.
The distinction between this is why I keep saying it's the worst performance he's ever played.
Yeah.
The game he's ever played is against North Carolina. North Carolina, I thought he played well overall. Everyone got frustrated when in the second half we were down and he kept forcing it to X. A couple of those touchdown passes he made in the first half were ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He threw for 394 or whatever in that game. Against Georgia Tech, he had 2 horrible interceptions, but he also hit a couple of deep balls over the top. He was making plays too, which is why we ended up in a position where we just had to nail it to win. He didn't make a single, that throw he made to X to set up the tying field goal was probably his best throw, but he didn't make any plays either. And I don't know what was going on. Again, the coach is going to look at the tape to see what was going on, what he was doing, what he should have done. But this is, I wouldn't judge him just off of this game. I would say body of work wise, he's fine, but we could do better. And we can't, if he plays like this, he's one of the, he's non-functional. So obviously,
you look at what we have coming up. We're at NC State, and then at FSU, and then home at Louisville. Home against Louisville. Mm-hmm. If he looks like this against NC State, we're going to lose.
Yeah,
and that's not even anyone. We're going to lose. FSU is the best team in the ACC.
We got away with this.
There's no way.
We got away with this because Borregales is awesome, and because we got a pick 6. We would lose to Virginia if he plays like this. Man, every quarterback throws horrible interceptions. I've watched Dak Prescott play for 10 years. I've seen it all.
Me and Vish are Dallas Cowboys fans, so we're used to watching QBs throw pretty bad interceptions.
But also, I will say, no one's above coaching, right? So I think it's on Dawson now.
Listen, if TVD can bounce back and he plays great against NC State, then I'm super excited for him. But as of right now, Canes fans have a right to be concerned after that performance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was awful. There's not really he made a couple of throws where you're like, okay, that was a good throw, but there's basically nothing redeeming to take out of this. But I'm hoping all right, you got through this game. This can make you worse or better. So they got to go through the tape. Dawson's got to sit down with him. They got to break all the film down. This is where you should throw on the ball.
Tough road games ahead of us. And if he looks like this against NC State, what do we do against FSU?
I'm one game at a time, which we said last week, and I think the players, again, we came out flat. To me, that was unacceptable. And it wasn't just TVD; it was the whole damn team.
I don't think John likes that we're Cowboys fans. Oh man, I forgot to set my fantasy lineups this week, so the Thursday night game happened, and I was like, "Oh crap!" I had Tampa's defense starting against Buffalo. But I had Chris Godwin as my flex, so at least he got me points.
Not sure there's. I think there are other receivers getting open as well. But actually, I think, again, I don't think we managed this game well, because if you look at the interceptions that TVD threw, again, the first one, half the team was open, and he threw to the touchdown and underthrew it. The other ones, they were sitting back in these pass coverages, you could check the ball down, and you probably should. We can call that one that got dropped at the goal line. Let's just call it an interception because we didn't do it. We just got lucky. right? That's another one
Mhm.
where you can check it down, and I think that's what the coaching point's probably going to be. Hey, don't force the damn ball. Live to play another day. Even the one we talked about, Melissa, at midfield, just throw it away and punt. You're up
Yeah.
4 points.
Don't throw it into double coverage.
Yeah, just throw it away and punt. He's trying to make a play when there wasn't a play to be made. Just throw it away, punt the ball, pin them down.
Mhm.
You're up 4 points. Let the defense play with space behind them for
With
once.
space, yeah.
and let them get off the field, and then you get the ball back in the same place and you move it the next time. Like that was just bad
Yeah.
game management there. And I don't know what the hell he was doing on that other one that got dropped on the goal line. That was a game loser.
Yeah.
Like you're forcing it down the field into double coverage like that. But again, that was when he has time to sit back and think, I think is being a little bit misconstrued. It's when no one's open. Their pass defense is sitting there. They're in pass defense. Like we gotta be more patient with the running game, which leads me to the next thing. What is the state of health of our running backs right now? Because Chaney didn't play. Parrish got in for a couple of plays, didn't look right at all. AJ Allen hurt himself
AJ got
leaping over.
injured.
By the way, we got
Fletcher.
what
Trevante
run.
Citizen dressed.
What a run, man. What a run, AJ Allen. Whew.
AJ? Oh yeah, that little hurdle.
I mean, he hurt himself and he missed the rest of the game because he never played.
Well,
after
hopefully,
that,
hopefully it's nothing serious and we have him back next week.
But I mean, that's why it was just Fletcher. I know Citizen dressed, but
we were
down
talking
to
about
Fletcher.
it preseason.
Yeah,
I know we were talking about preseason how much depth we have in the running back room, and good God, we need it.
Yeah, we were down to just Fletcher at the end, and thank God he came back this week because he's been out. So we ran out of running backs. Again.
When I saw that AJ was starting, I was like, all right, well, we don't have Don. Parrish played a few snaps and then I think re-injured himself.
I don't know that he re-injured himself. I didn't see that.
I think he got re-injured. I don't know.
He looked terrible. Like he didn't look like he was in the game. Like I don't think he was ready yet. I think he dressed because we knew Chaney was down and we were short on running backs, and he got in there.
Trevante dressed. I don't know if there's any.
I mean, I think if Fletcher got hurt, what other choice do you have? We were out of players. We somehow ran out of running backs.
It's kind of crazy.
Which as much as we're all screaming, and I think justifiably run the ball, man, we gotta have running backs to do that. Hopefully, we get some healthy this week because we are hurting there with AJ Allen now hurt. Don't know what Chaney's status is.
Chaney's been out. Parrish still hurt.
Chaney, I think, got hurt at the end of the Clemson game. He kind of hobbled off at one point. That's AJ Allen finished it, which in spectacular fashion. He got hurt today, and it was all Fletcher down the stretch, which thankfully the freshman has broad shoulders and carried the team over the finish line there. But man, you only have one running back now. That limits your ability to just pound the ball. So hopefully, Parrish after getting a few carries this week is okay. Next week you get Chaney back or so, because we don't have any depth now. All of a sudden, at what was our deepest position, which then means you do have to throw more.
Toxic's asking about throwing to tight ends, and I honestly don't know what to say about it because at this point, do we have pass plays that includes a tight end and Tyler's just not looking for them?
I mean, he hit McCormick. I think once,
dropped it.
and then no, I think he had a catch too, and then the other one he dropped.
And then he had another dropped.
Elijah Arroyo looked like he was not ready to play football. He got
injured in this.
He got
was in
injured
there for a few plays and then
he got injured, but he false started and then he whiffed on a couple of blocks. The block.
Yeah.
And I just don't think he was ready to play. But yeah, McCormick had 2 catches for 15 yards and a drop. So that is about as tight end. I mean, that's another thing, right? Like McCormick's obviously much more of just an extra offensive lineman than a tight end, but you've recruited Riley Williams and you've recruited Jackson Carver. I mean, there has to be a plan to get the tight end the ball eventually, right? Why'd you recruit all these guys? And so I'm assuming the offense will evolve over time, but I think Arroyo, the reason they tried to work him back in there is he is the pass catching threat, but he just didn't look ready to play. And then, like you say, got hurt again, unfortunately. But this is what we were talking about in the pregame. When you miss all those warm-up games, inserting anyone just into the middle of the ACC season against a bunch of players on the other team that have been, this is their 4th or 5th ACC game, and expecting someone that has not taken snaps to just get up to speed, it's asking them a lot. And Arroyo, who's someone that has played well, like at A&M last year against big-time competition, just looks like, man, he needs a preseason game. And we don't have one, and it's tough to get people up to speed that quickly.
No, it's true.
But Canes win. I will say Kitchens. I thought Cam Kitchens played a really good game. Even obviously the pick 6 stands out. He made some good tackles. I wasn't happy with some of the way their receiver number 4 we talked about in the pregame, Washington, is just so good.
Washington.
And they were doing a good job moving him around, but there were a lot of times where there was no one directly over him, and they were able to just get him the ball in space, and then Kitchens would have to come up and make the tackle or whatever. I'm not sure if feels like we could have done a better job on him. And then the tackling, I think there were ample opportunities. Let me look what I got the stats in front of me. What was their third down conversion percentage? Because it felt like it was quite much. Watch, it'll be bad. 8 of 19.
Well, we stopped them a bunch in the fourth.
Yeah, 8 of
and
19.
Overtime.
8 of 19. And it felt like a lot of their first downs were just like 1 or 2 yards past the sticks where we could have like brought them down. And those are killers because it just wears the defense out. And that's where you get the time possession disparity, which is a stat we've owned. 34 to 20, 34 and a half to 25 and a half in their favor. And that's a stat we've dominated this year. So, Virginia, again, this is why you have to show up from the beginning of the game. They impose their will at the beginning of the game on us, and then you're playing from behind, and then they're more than willing to be patient and sit on the ball and run the clock down and grind it out because they know they're out in front. So,
yeah. Bagging up, I don't know what's in our playbook. We saw a lot at the beginning of the season, and then I mean, obviously we played vanilla last game because you're starting a true freshman quarterback, so a lot of wide receiver screens and short passes and a lot of running the ball, but I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that we when we've had success, this was when Emory Williams was playing, and this was like TVD against A&M. It's when we force teams to bring guys down into the box to stop the run, and A&M came in with that mindset that they were going to do that.
Because we ran it like crazy against Miami, Ohio.
Yeah, and they decided they were going to take our run game away, and they left our receivers one-on-one on the outside. And we roasted them, and after we were able to get the run game going against Clemson, and they had to adjust, that's when Emory Williams started. A lot of those balls to Colby Young, Melissa in the pregame mentioned the one in the zone where he threaded it in. There was a gorgeous pass.
Yeah,
Other than that, it was a lot of their single coverage and the safeties down the box. I'm just going to throw a jump ball out there. And Colby Young kept going and getting it. Like, we didn't get those coverages today because we didn't stick to the run. But again, they can be really patient defensively when they're playing with the lead and when they're grinding, their offense is holding the ball. And that all plays together. We came out the third quarter, like, it could not have started better because we came in down.
Yeah. We got the three and out. And
touchdown,
then we scored, and then we got the pick six.
I mean, it's just like, this can't be going better.
You couldn't have started the second half better, and then. But as far as bagging up, saying about Washington slants and sitting down in the zone, I honestly wasn't paying attention to the defensive schemes. But were we in zone the whole time? Did we play man?
Mostly zone. We did switch into some man and some short yardage, but it's mostly zone.
Yeah, there was one defensive play where they converted on like 3rd and 3, and our corner was like 8 yards back, and I'm like, why is the coverage so soft on 3rd and short? I was really confused.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you give those up because like game situations. I think the other thing that's kind of a little bit, in the defense, one thing they did really well is outside of like 1 or 2 plays, like Muskett's a really good running quarterback, and they kept him in the pocket. He didn't really make any plays with his legs. He had the one design.
He had one that he got, yeah.
And that was kind of it. And even on that 4th down they converted, which was I was like, they're not going to actually snap this. I was telling my brother as the play clock was running, I was like, I would do the same thing. Just give Miami an opportunity to do something stupid and jump offside, and then they snapped it.
That was in the Coop live stream. He's like, no way, they're going for it. No way. And then they snapped it, and he's like, oh my gosh, they're going for it.
I will say the reason, and that was really good execution by them, because the reason that opens up, we went with the 3-man rush, which actually kind of worked because we dropped everyone in the zone. But if you look at Flag on that play, he can't drop into the zone where they ended up completing it behind him because he's got to spy the quarterback, and he's sitting there in case the quarterback runs. So, it was a pick your poison thing with some of that. And I will say, I thought they got a little bit. I mean, I don't think he got the first down, but that scramble when they took the leading field goal, and then we went down
when he was running it to the sideline.
He got close. They blocked him 2 yards short, and I don't know how the hell.
It was
about like
that was an interesting spot.
I thought he was like a half yard. It was an interesting spot. I thought he was like a half yard to a yard short. And I was like, all right, we just got him. And they marked him so far back that like you couldn't even really review it or anything. I'm like, all right.
Toxic says, I hate to bring this up, but we could be 7-1. Toxic, we could also be like 5-3. So I will
We
take
could
6-2.
easily be 4-4. We won 2 games
Or
in
4-4.
overtime. We won 2 games in overtime.
2 games in overtime. Like
Yeah.
the A&M game, we don't respond to adversity. That's a loss, spotting them as many points as we did. Yes, we should have won the Georgia Tech game, but there's a few games where we somehow managed to pull it out.
I do wonder, if part of that, the way we lost that is why we've been tougher down the stretch of some of these other games. Like, you don't take anything for granted.
No.
And we fought back and won these last 2 games. Again, it's different, even though Clemson, as Melissa says, now 4-4. It's different when it's Clemson and you have a freshman quarterback and you're in a dogfight in the fourth quarter versus what happened today. I mean, Virginia has 2-6, and as much as they're saying they've been playing close games, they're 2-6.
Tell me this: who's your MVP of this game?
Borregales.
And the chat, you can put it in there too.
Borregales, no hesitation.
Borregales. Oh, for sure. Borregales.
Outside of Borregales, though.
Outside of Borregales,
Ruben Bain, maybe.
There's spots where I could pick certain people. Like Kinchins had the pick 6. Bain was a menace.
I thought Kinchins actually was the only guy in the team.
AJ Allen had some great runs before he got hurt. Fletcher was a horse in overtime. But Borregales, man, he hit a 247 yarders and a 50-yard field goal with ease.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's the MVP. Not made us better, made us tougher, like mentally tougher, having to go through that.
Yeah.
No, we're still the same team. We just played a 2-6 team into overtime at home. Like, man, we're the same team that lost to Georgia Tech. That's how we lost to Georgia Tech.
Bagging up says we could barely bring Musket to the ground. Travis is going to go nuts running and extending plays. You hopefully you practice that week before that game and you
as we talk about health, but like Mesidor is very much needed on this team. Like Ruben Baines is doing a great job getting to the quarterback. He's not as good against the run, and you got to remember Mesidor was like second or third team All ACC last year. Like, we are missing one of the premier defensive ends in the conference, and if you put him on the opposite side of Bain, then you're gonna see some stuff. Branson Dean, I thought, had a really good game too.
Yeah,
he was making plays left and right. It was just, the defense again, no margin for error when the offense is turning it over, and this is why as a team, you got to come out of the locker room better, because this is every game now we're having to run back from behind. And against Georgia Tech, we obviously blew it at the end. We had to come back to take the lead. Remember, we were losing in the second half of that game. Obviously, last week, again, North Carolina, we fell behind, came back and took the lead, and then got blown out in the third quarter. This week, we fell behind again. It's like you got to come out better. A&M, like you said, we were down 10-0 early. Like, we gotta play better in the first quarter. You can't keep getting away with this.
I mean, we came out good in that third quarter, and then look, I mean, I don't know.
Right, but I guess my point is, especially when you're playing an overmatched team, you can't piss away a half.
Yeah, backing up says snatched victory.
I mean, it does feel like it a little bit.
You're not wrong.
and there was a chance to put it away.
It doesn't feel like a win.
Hey, there was a chance to put the game away in the third quarter, and instead we let them back into it to the point that we were trailing going into the fourth quarter, and that was the Buffalo Bills and FSU. Well, I mean, it's 2 weeks to FSU. We got North Carolina State first.
2 weeks in a row, we are down going into the fourth quarter and find a way to get it to overtime and win it. So it's nice to see the fight in the team, but I feel like we could have outplayed the last 2 weeks. I feel like we could. I mean, I guess Emory's a true freshman quarterback, so it's a little bit different. But like today, like I feel like we should have outplayed them.
I feel like both games have some symmetry in that there were points in the game where we had the lead, because when it was 7-0 for most of the first half, and that was when we got pass happy and threw on like 8 plays in a row against Clemson, when we could have,
ran it,
continued to run the ball, and maybe even just kicked a field goal, go up 10-0, and you're kind of really in control at that point. The way that game was going, and today again, you get the pick 6 to go up. That's where you got to step on their throat. and to let them drive. I know the defense, had been on the field the entire second half basically because it was a pick six. Although it was the first play and we just run that long drive to get the touchdown that AJ Allen leaped over the guys. So they should have had some energy there.
Yeah.
Start that drive at least. But like that's the one where you got to get off the field and not let them score. And we didn't do it. But then again, we got a reprieve because of the kick return by Ray. Getting about the 40-yard line. We can get that field goal back by getting 20 yards here and we threw a pick instead. Like that's all that's where you can put the game away and get that separation that you're looking for, and it just never happened.
Yep, no margin for error when your offense can't move the ball or score. That's right. I mean, hey, we played good in the overtimes the last 2 weeks.
I'll
tell you, and I think I said this before. Because I didn't know who won the toss for who I guess we won the toss for overtime because it came back from commercial and Virginia had the ball and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like this is the best scenario is for our defense to be out there first because that way I don't trust our offense. So it's nice to know what we needed to go, but I was like, we have to hold them to a field goal here. Like we have to hold them to a field goal. And when we stopped that third down conversion, I was like, hallelujah. So we had the ball, and I'm like, if I see a pass play, I'm going to throw something.
Yeah, there was no way. I mean, we would have run 3 times to get to field goal. I think at that point, I don't think there's any way they were going to put the ball
this
in
comment. Canes were in a position because the starting QB was somehow making bad throws without being pressured. Period. It's true. He had a lot of those bad throws. He was sitting in the pocket chilling. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was some of that. There was also, look, I mean, we came out flat again on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like that first drive Virginia had was just them pushing our shit in.
Yeah.
And like, again, as Bagging Up says, you leave the team in the game and then they're ahead and then they get the confidence. And we talked about this in the pregame. Don't leave it up to some shit happening at the end of the game because you've left them in the game. And that's exactly what we did. And this time it bounced our way. Sometimes the Georgia Tech game happens, though.
Well, the Georgia Tech game, I mean, all we had to do was do what we did at the end of this fourth quarter and we win. So, but yeah. It's honestly, that's going to be the discussion all year long is that game.
Well, not necessarily. Like
unless something stupider happens.
I know we got. Look, we're 6-2. We got 4 games left.
We've got some tough games coming up.
Yeah, but I think the one thing I will say for our team is they're tough. They're going to fight all 4 of those games.
So with these next 3 games coming up, with NC State, away at NC State, away at FSU, and then home against Louisville. I mean, I know this is probably a stupid question, but what do you see us what would you take? Like if we win one of those 3 games, would you be happy? If we win 2 of those games, would you be happy?
If you take all 3 of them.
You were you want to win, you want all 3 of them.
Yeah, in terms of being happy, yeah. I want all 3 of them.
Yeah. But what do you expect? What do you think is gonna happen?
I could see anything from 0-3 to 3-0. This team fights. I think they're going to be close games.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them. I know everyone's like FSU is going to kill us. FSU tends to leave teams in games too. I think we're going to play hard. We fight people. I'm not saying we should be favored or anything, but they're not going to walk over us. No one does. Even when we imploded against
FSU has me worried, obviously, because if we come out flat like that, they have a potent offense.
We're not going to come out flat against FSU. It's FSU. This is a problem that we have against crappier teams, and we're not. Reminds me of Cheech from Cheech and Chong. Really, that's a first for me. Right? You're talking to a bona fide reporter.
I mean,
no, but I think
the NC State game is going to be close. I worry about that because it's on the road. Louisville's looked pretty good. We have it at home. I honestly, the FSU game, I honestly am concerned about that being another blowout. I'm not going to lie. We have no consistency. I don't think
anyone's going to blow us out. Even the North Carolina game, even when it got away from us, they had to make plays in the fourth quarter still to win that game. Look, if they don't make that long run in the fourth quarter, if they don't make that long run in the fourth quarter, we're driving for the tying touchdown at the end. I don't think anyone's going to blow us out. I think we're too tough for that. But I also think we're too stupid to blow anyone out. And so I think they're going to be tight-ish. games. Like I
mean,
don't think
usually the rivalry game is close when the rosters are relatively healthy. Obviously, last year we were like on our walk-on O-line. TVD was
last year
injured.
was
All
a
this stuff was
meltdown. We
going on.
played it. We played a broken
Um,
quarterback in that game.
Yeah, but I haven't seen enough consistency to have confidence like, oh, hey, this is going to be a close game. But we'll see. I hope I'm wrong.
We're 2 weeks
Obviously,
away.
you know,
NC State's next.
we'll see how we do against NC State. Hopefully, people get healthy. I'm glad we managed to pull off this win, but boy, was it ugly.
It was ugly, but it's a win. The team's bowl eligible. They've now won more games than last year already. And maybe it's just our
Yeah.
lot in life to play these games against Virginia because every game we play against them, regardless of
Backing up thinks we lose to Louisville and FSU.
can't be losing at home on senior day.
Yeah, we'll be at that game.
Yeah, that is the
So-
man. We might get the game time in like the next day or two. Hopefully, it's not a noon game.
If it's a new game, I'm not tailgating.
I'm gonna be so mad because like we go on these road games. Like I don't want to play North Carolina at 8 p.m. and then like get back to the hotel at 1 in the morning. But then,
What
like,
time did we get back to the hotel?
it was
that
late.
night?
That
it was
was
like after
that-
midnight.
That game was so long because it was the opposite of today. Today they called 2 penalties in total. That game they called a penalty on every play. It was like the opposite. That's why this game, even with overtime, was over in like 3 hours and 10 minutes because they didn't call any penalties. Like it's only 7:45 now. The game started at like 3:40.
And we've been streaming for an hour.
Yeah, no, it was a brisk
Yeah.
game because they didn't call penalties. North Carolina was the opposite. It was a penalty after every play. Shows you how much penalties can
Yeah.
affect the running time of a game.
True. I don't know. I was pumped after the Clemson game and was starting to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. I'm like, okay, but even with a win, I still feel defeated.
Oh, I don't. I
do.
kind of felt this. I actually didn't pick us to cover the spread for a reason, but I thought we would kind of come out.
What was
with
the
more,
spread?
18.5. I thought we
I
would
didn't
come
have us
out.
covering the spread either.
I thought we would come out with more energy. That's the part that disappointed me. But I knew, like, I've looked at Virginia, how they've played. They keep every game close, and like if you don't come out,
What was
and
the
just
final
get on,
score?
29-26.
Oh, I said 31-20.
It's scrolling on the bottom
Oh, I didn't
of
even
the
see
screen.
it. It wasn't on the screen when I was saying it.
It's coming around now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I this was definitely one of the scenarios I saw playing out, which is if you leave them in the game. Virginia plays close games. They took NC
Mhm.
State down to the wire, and they managed to win their close game last week. So I was like, no, you don't. And I think this comments exactly what happened against Virginia and Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this time we got away with it, and we certainly did not
But
against
I mean, to say something positive, the fact that we were able to actually win these games the last 2 weeks is an improvement from last year. Even when we came out flat and things weren't going our way, a lot of times this leads to a blowout loss. So it's nice to
this
actually
team
win these
definitely has a
games,
much
but-
better. This team definitely has a much better attitude than last year, and that's why you're seeing them. Like these are all losses last
Yeah.
year. This is how the season spiraled out of control. You get hit in the mouth and everyone just fold up. Like
Yeah.
that effort against Florida State and Pitt last year at the end was pathetic.
I mean, minus the Georgia Tech game, I said it at the beginning of the season. I was like, if we can win the games we're supposed to win, I'll be happy. So Georgia Tech, obviously, we should have won that. But like the first 4 games of the season, a lot of people had us losing to A&M, but we won that, and then we won all the other games that we were supposed to win. We were supposed to beat Virginia. Yeah, it was ugly, but we won. Feeling bad about a win is way better than feeling hopeless after a loss. No, that's really true.
That's
But it
absolutely true.
just. It just, I mean, I should take more positives from it, but it's really hard to not think about the next few games and how anemic our offense looked and worry about what's to come.
Yeah, but the one thing
because as Miami fans, we all have higher expectations. you know?
but I guess the one thing I'll say to kind of counter that a little bit is the one thing I know about this team is right when you think you got them figured out, they'll do something you don't expect. So when TBD throws for 5 touchdowns next week.
If there's one thing I want in life besides my depression about my vacation ending and having to go back to work on Tuesday after being off for 2.5 weeks, would be for TBD to break out next weekend and have an amazing game.
I do think
that would be amazing.
I do think coming back from the injury, getting a game under his belt, and will help some of that because he's gotten through.
There's a lot of tape that Dawson can go over with TBD after this game.
That's the rehabilitation job, right? It's like, this is where you should have gone with the ball. You know, you got to get this out quicker. All that stuff. I mean, the irony is the pick he threw to X, and everyone's complaining he's forcing to X, is absolutely who he should have thrown to.
He wasn't forcing it. He wasn't forcing it. It was actually a really good read. He just threw a terrible ball.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, Bashard was open in the flat and blah blah blah. It would have been easier to throw." I'm like, "Yeah, throwing it to X is a touchdown.
Yeah, that's
like he's open. He walks into the end zone. He just completely
literally, Orlando was like, I don't know if he gripped the ball wrong or so. Like, couldn't explain how bad that throw was.
I mean, there was a few throws. I mean, because I rewatched the Clemson game, there were a few throws that Emery made where he didn't have his hands on the laces.
Well, you grabbed the back of the ball, so.
Like, no, he didn't have, like, the laces were like not where you're supposed to be gripping the ball. Like, if you go back and listen to the commentary, they even say they're like, "Oh, he didn't even have the laces on that throw."
What a program we have.
So
6-2.
I don't know. No, we won, but like, I hate to be negative after a win, but that was painful.
It was painful, but you know what?
I'm glad we got the win. I mean,
I do
don't do that last year.
I do think this team is tough mentally.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the brightest team, to put it nicely, but they play hard and they fight. And you know what? At the end of the day, what more do you want from the team than to give us? Because we've watched teams that did not seem to care as much as we did watching in the stands. And like, what am I even doing here?
Shout out to Andy, man. Andy Borregales, like, with ease. I mean, it's so nice to have a reliable kicker.
No, it is, and I especially in college, like, you just don't have kickers that make kicks like that, and you just right down the middle. Whatever. I mean, we won on to NC State, and they're coming off a win over Clemson, so they'll be flying high, and maybe we can put them back in there.
The chat agrees with me as far as my spot up with my apprehension. Philly Kane says we are a good QB away from being really good. I mean, I guess poor QB play was the reason why this game was so close. It is what it is. The defense kept us in it. They scored. That pick six was huge. Andy made massive field goals. The run game and the O-line. I mean, the O-line gave him time to throw. The run game, we had some great plays in the run game. It's the reason why we won it in OT. But the QB play was subpar. So there's got to be things that there's a million things that need to be fixed. And I guess we'll see what happens. Remember when Manny said we'd be undefeated if we had a kicker?
Was that the year that we
like Bubba Baxa?
Was that the year we missed all those kicks against like Georgia Tech and lost in overtime?
Well, like there was a year where we had Bubba Baxa. He was terrible, and then we benched him for a walk-on Camden Price.
I think that was the same year. I would like.
Jaron Williams was our quarterback, and then we benched him for N'Kosi Perry.
That was the same year that we lost to FIU, and I don't think a kicker had anything to do with that, Manny. But anyway, let's not dredge up old stuff. Because this team is 6-2, 2 wins in a row.
Yeah.
Back to 500 in ACC play. It's all.
I feel like I feel like I was like totally. Like.
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna flip it back around.
The pregame, I was like, TVD's our best chance to win when he's healthy, and then I'm sitting here saying like that he played horribly, and
he did play horribly, but that doesn't mean I think there's a distinction between playing horribly and being horrible, and I think people are jumping to the second one. What we saw was the first one. We've seen him play a lot better, not just like 2 years ago, but this year. And so you know what, I'm gonna assume. The reason I'm not nearly as negative as you are is I don't think he's going to play this bad again. I just don't. This is the worst he's ever played.
I hope you're right.
He'll play better.
I hope you're right.
but we gotta play better as a team too. We gotta play the whole game. We gotta show up. We gotta tackle better. It looked like we were just lethargic for a large parts of this game. We gotta play.
I think I called our offense anemic on Twitter.
There you go. Yeah,
Use the medical phrase.
but I feel like the defense. I feel like the defense was a little bit as well too. A little bit slow to react. Not really.
Yeah.
A lot of those tackles
that
that we got run through on are because they're a split second late, and then you don't have your leverage. You know, instead of like carrying the momentum into it, you get hit instead of hitting. And I felt like that was much of the game. And you know, I feel like there's easily things we can do pretty simply that we've seen these players do to play a much better game next week. And it's good that we got out here with a win. And so
there were a few chunk plays bagging up.
AJ Allen had to jump over someone.
The guy that he jumped over was on a knee. It wasn't like he hurdled like
no, the dude went down, but he wasn't kneel. He was crouched.
Yeah. The run game got us the win. That's how we won in overtime. Was 2 straight run plays.
3, right?
Or 3.
Yeah, it was like 8 yards, and then he got the first down, and he scored from the 12.
All I remember is I was screaming, "Please don't pass the ball."
I mean, there was no way. I mean, the one thing, look, man, say what you want about Mario. That ball was not going in the air. That man would have gladly kicked a 70-yard field goal instead of
David, we discussed the tight end situation towards the beginning of this stream, so definitely go back and listen to it. We're perplexed as well.
But anyway,
the defense made game-winning plays when it mattered. Yeah, holding them to a field goal in that overtime. But how much did Virginia score in the fourth quarter? They just had the field goal, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they had a field goal in the fourth, the field goal in overtime. I think the big thing is like where we failed to put the game away was when it was, you mentioned the pick six. We had now, like, we only won the third quarter 14-10. They came back and scored 10 in a row after that. And there were still 10 minutes left in the quarter. Like, that is where we really could have stepped on that.
Yeah.
And
we didn't really take advantage of the momentum where they come out of the half, we hold them to a 3-and-out, we get a drive for a touchdown, get the pick six, and then the momentum was there, and we didn't take advantage. Like,
but we got we did win though, and I think it's important to have that perspective because we don't win this game last year.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got the win, but I mean, I think I wrote "this is painful" multiple times in different threads.
It's painful, but it ends with a win, and
the offense didn't do a lot, but
Virginia Tech makes
did enough
sense
to get some field goals and ran the ball well in overtime. So, but there's a lot to fix.
But again, just to not end on a negative after we did win and are bowl eligible and have a 2-game winning streak after losing 2 in a row. We in the past, when we lose 2 in a row, it turns into 4 and 5 in a row. We've turned that completely around.
And like someone said in the chat before, it's a lot better to be discussing all the mistakes with the win than after a loss.
Right, but then I guess the other thing I was going to say is on the offense, when they did move the ball, it felt like there was a lot of meat left on the bone. They just kind of blew it a little bit. I think there's some minor fixes here that can go a long way. Like you mentioned, McCormick dropping that ball. That was at the end of regulation. There was a minute and a half left. He catches that. It's probably a 5 or 6 yard gain. You're 2nd and 4. We ended up kicking a 47-yard field goal to tie the game with a minute and a half left. Like, that's where you okay. Now you're inside the 50. Now you're inside the 30. Now it's first. You run another couple of plays to get the first down. Yeah. Now you're going in for the winning touchdown, right?
Yeah, bagging up, I agree with you. I don't think we can continue to play offense like this and expect to win, especially because we're going to be going up against more elite offenses coming up.
And I would say most of the time, if you play offense the way we did against North Carolina, you win that game. But the defense gave up 41 points and 500 something yards. So, like I said, this team is up and down. We know the offense isn't as good as it showed against A&M. We're just throwing touchdowns left and right. We know it's not as bad as it showed today. Somewhere in the middle. Yeah. I expect somewhere in the middle.
A happy medium would be nice because our defense has shown that
and our defense is not nearly as bad as they played against North Carolina. They're much better than that. And,
yeah, somewhere in the middle is probably
somewhere in the middle is probably.
really that's really their only. I mean, 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 that's really their only. I me their only blemish is that our defensive play against North Carolina.
They
Other
do.
than that,
They are.
You look at how many points A&M put up, but those are special teams errors that caused that. So
yeah, I mean they are susceptible to giving up long drives. TVD is going to start next week, so I mean I don't know what to tell you all.
yeah, he is.
And he should, and I don't. But what I will not do is, speculate, is he still hurt? If he can't play, he shouldn't play. So, like, if the coaches are putting out there, I'm going to assume he's healthy. So, no excuses for things like underthrowing a ball by 15 yards. But, hopefully he'll play better next week. He normally does play a lot better than he did today.
Yeah, this is probably the worst game we've seen him play in.
Yep, and no death spiral. And I think there's a lot of corrections. Frankly, if we play with some more energy in the first quarter, like they don't have those long drives. We make a tackle on the open field, they're kicking a field goal instead of the first touchdown. It means that they can't.
Oh, there's a lot to address on both sides of the ball.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm saying.
Tyler Harrell should not be returning kicks.
What the hell was that? But I mean, I guess that's my point.
Harrell, but I guess that was terrible.
I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, TVD's got to play a lot better too. But to me, there's minor adjustments he can make. Like, hey, just check the ball down. It's fine. Punting is okay if no one's open on 3rd and long. Just throw it away and punt.
Don't force it. Don't play hero.
Exactly. There's a couple of things we can do there. A little bit better tackling, especially near the sticks, and a lot of points. Like you said, don't F up a kickoff where you somehow bat it from the end zone back into the field of play and then have to like pick it up.
Yeah.
Heads up play by Redding, who has not played at all this year, but was still paying attention on the kickoff to save that. That was almost game over.
Yeah. JAA, I think there was only like 3 penalties called period in this game.
There were 2 called in total. One was on the first drive, Bain for roughing, which was a good call.
Roughing the passer, which was actually a legit penalty because he made contact with the QB's head.
Yep, he hit him in the head. And then the other one was
it's weak, but that is a penalty.
And then the other one was a false start on Arroyo, which definitely was a false start. They
weren't calling anything.
Yeah, the one that I feel like they should have called on Virginia that they didn't was pretty obviously that face mask on TVD when he was throwing the ball and it we're lucky it got to Parrish. That could have gone anywhere, and them missing that call is pretty egregious. But other than that, I mean, I saw Virginia holding, I saw us holding. They decided not to call any of it.
Up, I disagree. A happy medium still gets his drive by Ville and FSU. I think a happy medium makes it a tight game with Ville. FSU, I don't know. I have to. It's what is our defense going to do against their offense, and that's going to be.
I'm not even honestly like NC State's a good team. We got to go play them on the road next week. Like I don't know what you two are doing, but like Bill and FSU, we got to go win a road game in North Carolina next week. What are we doing here?
I think he's just talking about our last 4 games.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about our next game, which is a big one.
Next game. No, at NC State is always tough, and when you have an inconsistent offense. It's worrisome.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to going down there and watching us beat them. So that's what I'm going with the positive mindset.
Keep the confidence. Keep it. Hopefully we win.
I have not. The problem with these live reaction shows is I have not had a chance to break. Usually by the time we get to the Monday show, I've kind of broken down the opponents, so I know what I'm talking about. I don't frankly. I've not watched a lot of. I did watch some of their game at Clemson before our game started. I thought so I guess they switched quarterbacks because it wasn't the Virginia transfer playing today. It was someone else.
NC State?
Yeah, they were playing
Brennan Armstrong didn't start for them?
No, they played someone else in there. Someone else was playing quarterback in this game and
interesting.
And so I was surprised. I didn't realize.
Old man Brennan.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? So last week, I mean, this is why once again, and I guess the rest of our opponents are actually like good, so less of a an issue here. But one of the things is the ACC is so crazy this year. Like you don't know what's going to happen week to week. Someone calls out in the chat. How the hell is Virginia Tech 3-1 in the ACC? They lost like every out of conference game, got blown out.
Yeah.
North Carolina State got killed by Duke last week. They turn around and beat Clemson this week. Duke this week, I saw the score. Yeah, they lost 23-0 to Louisville. They didn't even score. They blew out North Carolina State last week.
Did Riley Leonard start?
Yes. This
Interesting.
conference does not make any sense, which is why you got to
Crazy.
show up every week.
You know what I
and
need to
play.
not make sense? Us beating FSU. That's what I need to not make sense.
Hey, that's a team that Boston College had on the ropes. So if you think we can beat Boston
Yeah.
College, I don't see any reason why you give up hope against FSU. They're better than us, but
JAA, the reason why Mario kneeled with 20 seconds left and 2 timeouts is because we were going to have to air the ball out, and our passing game was atrocious. He made the right call there, honestly.
Yeah, and it was actually so the TV was wrong, and
it was 2 timeouts.
It was 2 times. What happened is, if you watch through the sequence on ACC Network again, we called timeout to stop the clock. Whoever was in the booth, like doing the thing in the booth, hit the flag button instead, and then they thought there was a flag, so they never deducted the timeout. They hit the wrong button, and that's why they kept zooming in on the ref. And Jorge was like, let's see what the flag is. Maybe they picked up. There was never a flag on that play. We just called timeout, and there was confusion in the booth. So they never subtracted the timeout. Then they there's no flag, and they turned the flag icon on, but they never deleted our timeout icon.
We're on like our 20-yard line with 2 timeouts, 27 seconds left, with a quarterback that was not comfortable the entire game. And
I would say absent him like being on fire, like I don't think you can put the ball in the air in that situation anyway. But just because it's 27 seconds, you're gonna get like 4 or 5 plays max to go. What was at the 20? You got to get at least 40 yards to even think about a field goal. Like that in 4 or 5 plays. That's not there, man.
And the way the QB was playing today.
Oh yeah, no, it's not even a question. The way he was,
it would have been irresponsible to try and throw it. Honestly,
yeah, it was no way you can have him air it out today. But like even if he was playing like he normally does, like if he was playing like he did against A&M, I still don't.
You're at like. If you get a return and you're at like the 40 or the 50, then maybe.
And that's why Mario called the timeout. He's like, make them punt it. If we get some field position, once they kick the touchback, it was like, forget it.
Yeah. No, you have to make them punt it because you never know what can happen.
Yeah, they could shank it. You could block it. You could get a big return. Although he put Restrepo back there, so there was almost only going to be a fair catch.
You don't want to make a mistake and give them field goal.
If you screw up there, it's the game over. So
yeah.
So that's why it was
and we're good in overtime apparently.
there's no game clock. That's why. Don't manage the clock.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want? We can hour and I said we 20 minutes. Hour and 17 minutes later.
It goes fast. So y'all catch the 6 Ring show Monday night. I won't be there, but catch the guys on Monday night, and then catch Canes hoop season starts in a week, so catch us Wednesday night. We'll be breaking down, previewing the season for the men's and women. So catch us on Wednesday night.
Just to give you some timings, 6 Rings Canes, our football show, 8:30 Mondays here, and then Buckets is our basketball show, 7 p.m. on Wednesday this week. We're going to preview both the men's and women's seasons. Also, you'll see it scrolling across the bottom. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Wherever you listen to your podcast, just search for it. Search for 6 Rings Canes. It'll come up. In addition to these shows all going on there, we do audio only content. If you're into hoops, I was at the ACC kickoff. There's a ton of
there's some good pods of interviews from there. So definitely take a listen to it.
And then if you're into football, Jazz and I interviewed Eric McLean last week. That's also on the audio feed. Yeah. So definitely get on there, get that stuff. And especially during basketball season, because the games are at night and we do cover men's and women's. That's generally Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. We're not gonna go live during a game to do a show. So a lot of it will end up being us recording at weird hours and putting it on the audio feed. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, because we're gonna fully cover these basketball teams.
Both teams are poised for good seasons this year. So
men were picked to finish second in the ACC. I think the women were 6th. I want to say.
Yeah, but the ACC and the women's side is
both
stacked.
teams are ranked, which I don't think has happened.
Men's coming up a Final Four appearance, women coming off an Elite 8 appearance, and arguably has a better team this year. Yep. So make sure you guys are paying attention to the hoops team. And then we got NC State for football next weekend. Hopefully it's another dub.
I will be there.
I'm glad we got the win today, despite as painful as it was. And then should we plug Prize Picks before we leave.
Oh yeah. So go to our sponsor, prizepicks.com. When you sign up for a new account on your first deposit, if you enter the offer code 5, that is FIVE, the word 5 spelled out. Prizepicks.com and 5 Reasons Sports will match your first deposit up to $100. So that's prizepicks.com. Enter the offer code 5. And appreciate all you all for hanging out in the chat with us. We frankly, the reason we spent an hour and 20 minutes talking is because you guys all had good comments and we end up responding to them in the show draft.
Yeah, bagging up. Come back for the Monday night shows. Come back for the Monday night shows. Hopefully Martin from Africa will be there. Everyone that was in the chat, thanks for giving us stuff to talk about and keeping this going for over an hour. We appreciate all of you. And happy Canes victory Saturday.
Go Canes.
Enjoy your night, y'all.
Sorry, I didn't have the thing open. Here we go. Go Canes.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.